Do you want to learn more about the real Belize and listen to locals and expat stories that are actually living here in Belize? Well, you're in the right place right now. You're listening to Belize Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Macarena Rose. Well, happy beautiful day to you. This is Belize Talk Radio, and I'm your host, Macarena Rose, and thanks for joining us today. And we have the honor and privilege of being joined today in the studio with Emmeth Young, who is from Gales Point. And I was blessed to meet Emmett over 10 years ago, and in Gales Point, actually. And I will tell you, we're going to learn a lot today about drumming. And in Belize, we have different kinds of drumming, I'm finding out. And Emmett, welcome to the show today.
Thank you.
It's an honor to have you here.
It's a blessing to be here.
Yes, all respect. And so, tell us, you have a beautiful drum here, and because the listeners, some are getting to see the audio, or getting to see the video, but many are listening. So, tell them what you have here.
Well, actually, this is a djembe drum. It was made by me. The origin of this drum is from West Africa, from the Great Mali Empire.
It's fascinating. It's beautiful. Log into that MacarenaRose.com site and you can see the pictures of this. And what's fascinating to me is that I came to Belize over 10 years ago, and I wasn't moving here yet. I was just coming for a vacation. And I met a young man and I said, listen, I would like to go see some actual drumming. I would like to see some authentic drumming. And he said, oh, well, you want to go to Gales Point. And I said, well, where's that? Well, come to find out, it was a little ways away from San Ignacio, Belize, and it's a peninsula that's only a little bit over a mile long, right?
Yeah.
And so then I got blessed to meet Nicole and Bombay, who I just fell in love with them as friends, and their cousin is Emmeth Young. So, something that fascinates me about drumming is that it's powerful. It's empowering to hear it, and you do this drumming. Who taught you?
I learned from one of my grandfather and a friend of my grandfather.
In Gales Point,
So it was in tradition of my ancestors.
And you're actually carrying the ancestry forward, aren't you?
Yeah, I learned the traditional rhythm of Belize, of the Creole people, and I also travel and study West African rhythms.
You do, don't you? It's fascinating. But you actually do teaching also.
Yeah, I work with youths. I teach the youths the tradition of my people, which is the Creole people, the rhythm, song, and dance.
And so I know that one year I got to come down to Gales Point, and it was at Christmas time, and they were doing the brahmin. Explain what brahmin is about.
Well, brahmin is a tradition that was stemmed out of Africa. It was stemmed from the slave trade. When my ancestors were slaves, around Christmas time, this was the only time when the when the people get to have a break, and this was the time when they would have a big party, and they were never slave again. They were never slave. So this is where that comes from the slave trade. So it's a very important part of our culture in Gales Point around the Christmas time when we have the Christmas brum. And the Christmas brum, we go from one tip of the peninsula to the other tip, and we stop from house to house, and people would put out food and drinks, and we would play music, eat and dance.
And then you go to the next house and do it again, and
Right.
go to the next house and do it again. And it is an event. It is just phenomenal. How many days do you do this?
It could go on anywhere from 2 days to 4 days.
Who decides if it's more days?
Well, it depends on how much fun the people are having in the village, and also how tired the drummers are.
That makes sense. And the dancing, I've watched the dancing. A dear friend of mine, Bombay's daughter, Indira, I got to learn the dancing firsthand when I first met them. But to see it at Brahmin is amazing. So I guess people that aren't drumming, they get to do the dancing.
Right, right.
So it's the whole community does that. And what's funny is, I always laugh is that when in Brahmin, they go from one house to the other house. So if they've been done with your house, they get to go with you. They get to follow the whole thing.
Right, right.
So then everybody ends up at the tip of the peninsula and they're bushed.
Yeah. And then whilst it reached to the end of the peninsula, we have something what we call the Sambai, which is the fertility dance that is done 2 days before the full moon, on the full moon, and 2 days after the full moon. So after the Brahm, we end it off with a big Sambai, where we have a big bonfire in the middle, and then we have a big circle around the fire of the people, and then the drummers would start playing the drum, and the songs they are call and respond, and each dancer would emerge, one dancer would emerge in the center of the ring, do a dance, and when he finished, he choose somebody from around the ring, and that person come and try to outdo that other dancer.
Well, I like the dancing. I really do, because of the music and all the energy and the passion that happens. And this is part of your culture.
Yeah, it's actually in all of Belize. It's the only Creole village where this dance still exists, the fire sambai.
Really? So
and it's still going on today. So that's why I say I teach the youth so that this particular dance don't die as we do. They can carry the torch while I'm gone.
Well, you're doing a great job at that, actually. And I know that even in PG now, you're in PG, and you're teaching there too.
Yeah, so I have the Maroon Creole Jump School. When I was in Gage Point, I run the Maroon Creole Jump School. So now since I'm in PG, it's an extension. The jump school now is in Punta Gorda town in PG, and I've been teaching the kids them from around Punta Gorda as well.
And so what happens if somebody is deciding to come in on a sabbatical to Belize, or coming in for a long long extended vacation? Can they come and learn from you?
Yeah, they can contact me. We have the Maroon Creole Jump School page on Facebook. You can type in Emmeth Young, EMMETHYOUNG, and I would come up. You see a lot of jumps.
I wonder why.
You will find the jump school page, and they can contact us through there, and then we can set up classes if they want, or if they want to make their own jump or buy their jump, because I also make the jumps and sell them as well.
And so what's fascinating to me is that to make these drums isn't an easy process. There's a lot of effort to it, but you're making the actual drum, the djembe drum.
Yeah, I've been doing this work now for the last 20 years. I've been making djembes. And so every time I make, I'm perfect in it. So I make professional djembes, and I also make sambai drums. I make junjuns, kinkini, samba, barabu. So I make a whole different line of drums.
What's barabusa?
Barabu.
Barabu.
It's also a drum from West Africa.
Is it? And what is that? Is that all these drums have different sounds?
Different song and different shape. And the sambai drum in particular is from my village. That I make, the sambai drum, that's originally from Gales Point.
Wow. There's so much we get to learn from you, and actually that you're teaching the youth to carry this forward means it's not going to die. So that's why I asked if you will teach people that come in, because people want to know this stuff. And we're going to take a short break, but we're going to come back and we have a surprise for you back in just a moment. I'm your host, Macarena Rose, and you're listening to Belize Talk Radio on the Overseas Radio Network.
Hala tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo es para dar la alegría y cosas buenas. Hala tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, Macarena. Hala tu cuerpo alegría Macarena, que tu cuerpo es para dar la alegría y cosas buenas. Hala tu cuerpo alegría Macarena.